Hey, aloha and welcome to the 74th edition of Coffee with the Coach. I'm going to get a little Tim Hortons in me right now, and we're going to get started because this is a big show. We are more than happy about our guest today. I'm going to tell you some stories about him. We're going to have a bunch of laughs, and you're going to get some great football insights from Brian Baldinger, ex-NFL offensive lineman, now a media star. He's the Howard Stern. Howard Stern proclaims that he's the king of all media. Well, he's second only to Brian Baldinger. Welcome to the show, Baldy.
Well, aloha, Jeff. I've got my iced coffee here with you, and I figured that if it's coffee with the coach, then I better join you all the way around, man. But it's good to see you, Jeff.
You too. Hey, now explain to me the SMU warm-up that you're wearing today. You repping the Mustangs. Pony up, brother.
Yeah, pony up. We share a good friend, Albert Vetchius. He's the equipment manager over there at SMU in Dallas, and we go back to our days over in NFL Europe, 20 years ago or more. And me and Albert are best friends. Whenever I get back to Texas, I look him up. We drink a bunch of Coors Lights, tell a bunch of old tales, get caught up, and he usually gives me a big old care package of, Mustang gear. And I just happen to have one on here today, man.
Hey, Baldy, I take a lot of pride in the fact that, I get involved in more than football. There's more. I got plenty of interests outside of football. But if it ever, that old Dos Equis commercial where it's the world's most interesting man, if they ever redo those commercials, I'm saying you're the guy that they ought to tax for that one, because you are one time I see you, you're free diving in Tahiti. Yeah. The next time you're in Australia, you're in Hawaii, you got a home in Florida. Where are you right now?
Well, I'm actually I'm on the third floor here, Jeff, at NFL Films, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I got a house 15 minutes away, so it's my home away from home during the football season. But, I discovered, a couple different countries this year, Jeff. So I got to share it with you because buddy of mine tells me he's going to the Olympic surf trials this past year, Surf City, El Salvador.
Get out.
And I'm like, that sounds cool. So I headed down with him. And I never went to El Salvador. I don't really listen to a lot of the noise out there. Hey, it's not safe, gangs. I just like a bunch of surfers from around the world are going. It's going to be a cool vibe. It's going to be, Jeff, I went to El Salvador for the surf trials. The surf was amazing. The country was amazing. I had so much fun. I came back, and a month later, I took a bunch of buddies down, and we went down. We hit it again. And so I'm at this hotel, like not too far from, it's 45 minutes from the airport, but it's on the coast. And it's got outrageous surf right there. So I'm in this hotel overlooking the ocean. And I think it was the Paradise Surf Hotel, whatever. Anyways, I'm at the pool. I get 6 guys from Jersey. Baldy, man, what's going on? What are you doing here? Right? Typical. So I started talking to them, right? And like twice a year, their wives let them get out. They let them get out, go down there, surf for 3 days, get it out of their system, and come back to Jersey. But they tell me they got a flight. Listen to this. They got a flight direct from Newark to San Salvador. $60 one way.
What?
$60. Yeah, $60 on United direct from Newark. In 5 hours, they're in the water. 5 hours from the time they leave the airport to the time that they land, have a driver pick them up, take them to the ocean. They're in the water surfing, Jeff, in 5 hours for $60.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, man. Fans, let me just say this. When we were back in NFL Europe, I was coaching and Baldy was cutting his teeth in this media thing after finishing his NFL career. And he would come over, and I don't know if I've ever known anybody that got into the local culture as deep as you did, as easily as you did. And then what I want you to tell the fans, Baldy, is you actually went to Italy and coached and blogged your way through the Italian Football League, correct?
Yeah, the Italian League of American Football. Yeah, John Grisham wrote a novel, Jeff. John Grisham he writes them, twice a year. Anyways, he wrote a book called Playing for Pizza. And a mutual friend of ours, Doug Cosby, called me one day after he read this book, and he'd been coaching, with Bill Walsh at Stanford, and he was at Cal. It was just like, he had 5 kids. He's like, he never saw his kids. He's like, he just wanted to get out and have some fun. So, anyways, he said, "Would you come over and be my line coach if I get this gig in Italy?" And he goes, "Read the book." So I read Grisham's book. You read it in 2 days. So I read
Playing for pizza, right?
Yeah, Playing for Pizza. So I call Kaz. I go, "I'm in." I got to get clearance from the NFL. I'm working for the NFL Network. They want me to do some stuff for the draft. I said, I got to go back like once or twice and do some stuff, but I'm coming. So we're coaching the Bergamo Lions. Bergamo is outside of Milan, right? So they have 10 teams in the league. So we're all living together in this like compound. Doug, his daughters and her boyfriend, his buddy that started O'Neill's Sports. Like, we're all in this thing together, right? So, but I don't know anything about social media, but they're his kids do. So they get me on Facebook. I never, no, this is 2010, Jeff. I didn't know what Facebook was. So I get on Facebook and they're like, "You should do a blog." I go, "Well, what's a blog?" So they're like, "Hey, you write about, you speak some of the language, you take these pictures, you're out there in the, coffee shop." So I start blogging. So, it was everything. Like, our left tackle was this guy named Numa. And so what I learned was all the Americans wanted to live the Italian lifestyle, but all the Italians wanted to live the American lifestyle. So Numa was a former basketball player, like level B. He was 6'9", 360 pounds. He tried his hand at football. So he's our left tackle, but he drives a Harley Davidson and he's got a big old grill and he loves to barbecue. So, and most of the guys, they all smoke, so like they kept their cigarettes like in their socks. And then like during a break, like they would light up a cigarette during practice. So I thought this was funny, and we'd start practice with, a shot of espresso and some, something to mix it with, something alcoholic and awful. So that's how we all started practice together. Anyways, so I'm writing this stuff and it's like gaining traction, Jeff. Right. So, and I remember one day we're all out and we're eating pizza. Right. So these guys are telling us about the history of pizza. And they're like, "Look, if you put pineapple on a pizza like they do in the United States, that's not a pizza, that's a cake. Like, we would kill you if you put pineapple on a pizza." Right. So one day we're out there and, they bring the pie and the mozzarella is just perfect. And, it's out of a, grill and, all this stuff, wood burning oven, all this stuff. So somebody takes some cheese, right? And they're putting the cheese on top of the pizza. And these 2 Italian guys, they came running across the table and just knocked that jar of like, you never put cheese on a pizza. The cheese is already. So anyways, I started writing about this stuff and it gets traction. So John Grisham lives in Oxford, Mississippi. Okay. And our special teams coach's dad was a referee in the SEC and lived in Oxford, and he was friends with Grisham. So he started sending my blog to Grisham, and Grisham started reading the blog. Then Grisham starts writing me back, going, "This is really cool stuff. Maybe I should come over and do a sequel to Playing with Pizza." And so the whole thing came full circle, Jeff.
That's amazing, man. You know what? That's Baldy. That's one of the things I love about you, bro, because it's just like you love life. Now,
Yeah.
you come from a kind of a unique family background. I mean, your brother played in the National Football League. Your father, your family's very athletic family. Explain what it was like growing up in the Baldinger house when you were a kid.
Well, my father was a Marine. He went to the Naval Academy, and then served in the Marines. He was a pilot in the Marines. So that's kind of, that's sort of household of what we grew up in, so it was pretty disciplined. You made your bed every morning, like just basics, military stuff. So, but I was the oldest boy and, I had 2 brothers. One was a year younger and then one was 5 years younger. I went to Duke. They went to Wake Forest. Like, we all ended up playing football. We all played different sports. Growing up, we always, like you did back then, you just get done football season, go to basketball, get done basketball, you go play baseball. I mean, just that's the way everybody played, back then. But, it was just like, it was competitive, Jeff, none of our tables in our house had legs that hadn't been broken because somebody got thrown on top of a table. Kitchen table was just like wobbly, and so like there was like some big old fights that would break out amongst all of us, and it kind of got settled, the old fashioned way. Went in the garage and just settled it, but the competitive fire, and all that kind of stuff. And my dad sort of played football. My dad was an All-American at Navy. So we always watched football, and, we fell in love with it early. And we all ended up playing high school and college football. And, I was the oldest boy. It's like, if you play college football, might as well try to play pro football, And so I ended up going to a junior college for a year before I went to Duke. And so me and my brother, Richard, we both came out. He came out of Wake Forest. I came out of Duke the same year. He got drafted by the Giants. And I thought, if he got drafted by the Giants, and I thought he was kind of a lazy turd, for most of his life, I figured, like, man, if he could get drafted, I know I could play, So, I went to Dallas as a free agent, Jeff, undrafted. And I just remember they lost my luggage temporarily on my flight to Los Angeles. We trained in Thousand Oaks, California, back then when you were the Cowboys at Cal Lutheran College. And so when I got to Cal Lutheran, I didn't have my luggage. And I was like, this is an omen, so I was like, screw it. Even when the luggage showed up, I said, I'm wearing the same thing every day. They're just going to have to throw me out of this place. I'm going to fight everybody every day. I'm not not changing any clothes. I'm going to wear the same thing every day until I make this football team. And I did. I lined up at left guard. And yeah.
You go into the Cowboys as an undrafted free agent offensive lineman, and you're looking across the line of scrimmage. There's Harvey Martin, Tall Jones, Randy White.
Yep.
I mean, and now I'm gonna ask you this because I did some research and I talked to some Cowboy people.
Okay.
They said you got more fights per week than anybody in the history of the Dallas Cowboys in practice.
Yeah. I fought a lot. I did. I was like, they're gonna have to throw. I said, what's funny, Jeff, is so I'm in Thousand Oaks. And I'm battling Randy White. I'm at left guard. I'm just like scout team guy, so I'm just like getting my ass pretty much kicked. But I never backed down from him. And so one day we all had a team meeting every night, and we all would fill in. They had name call and roll call and all that kind of stuff. Who's there, who's not there. So, they signed 115 free agents in addition to 15 drafted kids. So 130 rookies. So one day we're like 3 weeks into the camp. And our defensive line coach was a Hall of Famer, Ernie Stautner. So, Ernie coached the defensive line. So I'm coming into this meeting and I'm stepping over Ernie Stautner, and he just grabs me with one of these bear claws of his, And he said, all he said to me was, hey, they're talking about you, kid. Keep it up. Meaning the defensive line is like, this guy's a prick, like he keeps coming at us. Like there's something about him. And that's how it was back then. The veterans kind of like, they told the coaches, like, who's the fighter? Like so I just kept it up, and I just said, they still have it, Jeff, but in Huntington Beach at Labor Day weekend, they have the pro surfing championships every year. So I just said, like, if I get cut, I'm just going down to Huntington Beach. I'm going to go watch. I always wanted to watch a pro surfing. I'm just going to hitchhike down the 101, man, the Pacific Coast Highway. I'm going to end up in Huntington. So I had my life set, like either make it or go watch some surfing, that was my deal. And I just said, they're going to have to just throw me out of there. That's all.
Baldy, when did you know that you were going to make the club? Well, I mean, what was the moment that you said, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a Dallas Cowboy. I'm going to wear that star.
I didn't really know, Jeff. Well, there was one moment we played a preseason game. I didn't get in the game. And I was all bummed out, man. A lot of rookies played. I didn't play. The next week, we get on, we played the Chargers. So our offensive line coach was an ex-Marine, Jim Myers. And he kind of liked me a little bit. He was a little gruff, around me, but he spent time coaching me. So we get on we're driving a bus down to San Diego and from Thousand Oaks. So it's like a 3-hour drive, whatever. So we go down by bus and I'm on the bus and my offensive line coach goes, look, I want you to draw up every single assignment against every single look of every play in the playbook. I go, okay. So I go to my room at night. I write it all up. He goes, all right, you're getting in today. So I didn't know what that meant. So our starting offense, Drew Pearson, Danny White, Tony Hill, Pat Donovan, they're all on the field, Dorsett. And in the second drive of the first quarter, they're like, "You're in." So I'm the rookie left guard next to Pat Donovan and and Tom Rafferty and Dorsett's in the backfield. Like I'm the only rookie on the field. Like it's just me with the starting offense. And I was like, and I get beat by this guy, Big Hands Johnson. And I look over, I'm replacing Herb Scott, he just gone to 4 straight Pro Bowls. So Herb liked me, never said 2 words the whole time I was there, except he would give me just a little pointer here and there. He goes, "Baldy, you're fine. Just back up. You're too close. You're too close to the ball. Just get off the line a little bit." But I got off the line a little bit the next series. I didn't have any problem. Blocked the guy straight up, and ended up playing pretty good after that first sack. But I kind of thought I had a chance when they put me in there, and then we were living in a hotel when we went back to Dallas, and Gil Brandt called me up, and we're all sitting there. All the rookies are sitting who are left. We have like about 10 rookies left. He goes, "We're all living in this hotel," and he calls my room and he goes, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" Which is like a Monday night. I'm like, "I don't know. Like I'm waiting to see if I'm going to make the team." He goes, "Well, why do you think I'm calling you?" I go, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, I'm inviting you to dinner tomorrow night." I go, "All right." So that was his way of saying he's taking the 6 rookies.
All the rookies out.
Team, yeah, to dinner, a rookie dinner, the following night. So, that's when I knew.
All right. Now, that Cowboy era and that Cowboy time was chronicled. Maybe it was a little bit before you, Baldy, but there was a great book written by Pete Gent called North Dallas 40.
We saw it.
And if you're a Cowboy fan, they made a movie out of it, but it was the movie is nowhere as good as the book. But if you were a Cowboy fan, how close to reality was that book?
Oh, it was close, Jeff. It was close. I mean, we partied, like we had a good time. I mean, it was a different era, I can't tell all the stories, but it was pretty darn close. Guys sneaking out, during training camp to go to a club, or, girls that we met that were just hanging around the weight room, or, like they were going to go meet up, and we were stuffing our beds at night, like with pillows. So when the coaches came in, it looked like we were asleep, I mean, we were having a good time now.
Well, I lived in Dallas for 4 years, so I know being a Cowboy in Dallas is a pretty special thing. So,
well, I mean, first of all,
back in those days,
still is, Jeff. It's a party town. Like Thursday night, like that's what was the night everybody went out. Like married couples went out, single girls went out. Like that was the nightclubs were all full back then. Thursday night was a big night. Friday was like, it wasn't like the heavy training day. So, but even to the book, like we had an off-season basketball team, Jeff. And in 1984, we played 48 games around the country. I mean, we were the hottest ticket. Like we went and played the Harlem Globetrotters in Iowa, Fort Dodge, Iowa, 2 games. We played them at 7:00 and we played them at 9:00. And then we went into the locker room afterwards and we counted up all the cash money, and everybody got the same amount. The Harlem Globetrotters got the same as we did. And somebody like Drew Pearson was counting all the money, and I got $900 in my pocket, Jeff, and we're in Fort Dodge, Iowa. We all went out. We all
exactly.
went out.
If Fort Dodge, you could buy a few rounds for $900.
Yeah. So, we closed that place up. But, we had, I'll give you an example. Like that year, the Washington football team, Washington Redskins, they had 12 players, Art Monk and all these players. They flew to Dallas. We picked them up in a yellow school bus, 12 Cowboys and 12 Redskins, and we barnstormed the state of Texas. We played a basketball game every night. We got paid in cash. We were in El Paso. We were in Lubbock. We were in San Antonio. We were in Austin. Like we played 6 games in 6 nights against the Redskins. And our final game was at the Hemisphere Arena in San Antonio. And we were the game before the San Antonio Spurs played. And I'm telling you, there was 14,000 people in that stadium to watch us play.
Baldy, do you think today's NFL players would barnstorm them around Texas?
Oh, no. But we had Jeff, I can't tell you. I remember Curtis Jordan was a safety for the Redskins, right? Number 22. And he went to Texas Tech. So he's the one that set up the whole game in Lubbock. So he was part owner of a club in Lubbock. And so Pearson, Drew kind of put this whole thing together. He was our coach and he did all the programming and stuff. So we go there and the place is sold out in Lubbock. I mean, you can just imagine Cowboys and Redskins in Lubbock. Like you couldn't fit another person inside the gym. And, we lit it up. We had fun. We went up to University of Oklahoma. We went to Norman, Oklahoma, and the Oklahoma Sooners won the national championship in one of those years. And we played the national championship team in Norman. They had Keith. I can't even
Keith
think. Keith Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah. He was there. Like there was whoever. Like Sam Claflin was an offensive lineman. He played in the league for a long time. Like we played them in a game in Norman and sold the place out.
Unbelievable.
The funny thing was that was Switzer's team, right? Like they all those guys that were on
those
that
guys
team,
were probably making more money than you were.
They drove nicer cars than we did.
I was gonna say they were making more money than you were.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, then you go up and you get a chance to play for a guy that sadly he's not with us anymore, but one of the really special cats I've ever known in football, Ron Meyer.
Yep.
And I remember you and I sitting and talking about Ron Meyer one time, and you told me a story that I thought was absolute classic.
Yeah.
Where you actually got the keys to his car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
So
tell our fans that story.
Yeah. So in 1988, I left Dallas. They ended up releasing me. I had a bad knee, and they moved on. But I just needed to rehab that year. So I had two choices. I could have gone to the Houston Oilers, where Jerry Glanville was coaching, or I could have gone to Indianapolis. I went to Indianapolis. I just saw Jerry Glanville's practice one day. I'm like, I know nobody could survive that. So I go up to Indianapolis. Ron Meyer's the coach. He really took a liking to me, and he was at SMU obviously, for a long time in New Texas and Dallas. So like he wanted me to be like the backup swing offensive lineman, play guard, play center, whatever we need. We need a sixth guy. Go in there and be that guy. So I'm like, okay, that was my role. So we had a really good football team. Eric Dickerson was there, and our defense was really good. So anyways, I get there and I meet this girl, Jeff. Like, I don't know, the first 2 weeks I'm there, she's hanging around practice, real cute.
Wait. How does that seem to always happen with you?
It just happened, Jeff. It just happened, man. So anyways, she was from Muncie. She went to Ball State, Muncie, Indiana. Anyways, so but she's really good looking, And I don't have a car, I'm just up there trying to make the team. So I go to Ron. Ron drove this 911 Porsche, this black 911 Porsche. So I go up to him one day and I'm just shooting the breeze with him. And I go, Coach, look, we got a night off. All right. I said, I met this girl. I go, I don't know anybody here outside of my teammates. She seemed pretty cool, just a Hoosier. I go, but you got a Porsche, Coach. Like nothing would impress this chick more than if you let me drive the Porsche. So sure enough, Ron goes, let me see what she looks like, Baldy. Like I go, look, she'll be at practice today, Coach. Like he he goes, if you can take that girl out, Baldy, you can take my Porsche. You got it. He saw one look at her and he goes, he gave me the keys.
You got the keys, bro.
We all went out I went out, took the girl out to dinner and we had a good time. I'm driving this stick shift on the floor, man. I'm opening it up. Like it was great, man.
Now you finish up with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right. And what was it like? And really, because you were with the Eagles at a time when Veterans Stadium was at one point, the Players Association tried to get the turf condemned as a hazardous surface, correct?
Yeah. Well, we played baseball, and it was a
talk about what old Veterans Stadium was like for the Eagles.
Well, we had we shared a shower with the Philadelphia Phillies. So the Phillies, we shared everything with them. So like when the Phillies, like in September or August, September, like they're playing and we're practicing, like we're in the shower together. Like there's Richie Allen over there. He's the hitting coach. And, there's Dutch Dalton, like, so anyways, but like our roof in our locker room leaked, We didn't have a room big enough to put our football team in. So we all just sort of like met in these like rooms, and the coach just sort of talked where everybody could hear it, but nobody was really paying attention. And it was like we had the number one defense in football. Buddy Ryan had just left when I got there. So we had Reggie White and Clyde Simmons and Jerome Brown. And like we had these guys that were just animals, man. Like, they just put quarterbacks in body bags on Sundays, and shipped, like it was just, it was, and so like, it was just like it was just, our team was literally nuts. Like they knew they could just dominate everybody. Offensively, we fought every day in practice. The defense hated the offense. They hated Randall Cunningham. They hated the coaches on the other side. So they took it all out on us. They knew, like, just give us 20 points, we'll win the game. And there were days where, we had trouble scoring 20 points, So we fought every day in practice. They didn't like us. We didn't like them, man. It was crazy.
Now, I don't know if this is an urban legend or not, but was there not a jail cell in the bottom of the stadium for the unruly fans in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah, no. They had a drunk tank down there. Like I remember one time we were playing the 49ers on a Monday night, and people were shooting bottle rockets across from one side of the stands to the other side of the stands, like it was like a soccer match in South America, and like it was just unruly behavior. They had this 700 level, which was the top level that went around Veterans Stadium. And people, like, the fights would break out. We'd turn around on the bench, whatever we were doing, we'd watch the fight, and we'd start narrating the fight up there. Just hope somebody didn't come flying over the top, And so they would take these people that were just drunk or just out of their minds, and they put them in this holding cell below the stadium, and that's where they sobered up down there.
Baldy, when you look at the league today, right? Does it even resemble the league that you played in?
No. I mean, I love the game of football, and I respect all of it, but I'm sure the things that I saw, Jeff, there was a generation before me that didn't recognize what we were doing. Like when I first started, half the team had jobs. Like Billy Joe Dupree was our tight end when I first made the Cowboys. And he had a construction site. And at lunch hour, he'd put a hard hat on and he'd go check out the construction site. Like it was just a different mentality. It was a different era. We didn't have a receiver. We didn't have an offensive player when I first made the Cowboys that made $100,000 a year. So like financially, like nobody was getting rich playing football. Like nobody even thought about that. It was inconceivable. So when I look at it now and I see how it's been pressure washed, sterilized, I understand a lot of it just for the safety. I do understand a lot of the safety concerns, but nobody, can replace the fun that we had, the camaraderie that we had. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Especially as an offensive lineman, because, in my experience, offensive linemen are such a unique group of guys. And I can remember when I first went into my first pro locker room and I looked at, because they all have their locker in like one space together. It's like it's like the cattle trough where they're all over there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they're sitting in their lockers smoking cigarettes. And then after the game, they drink beer in the locker room until there was no more beer left. Now they got nutritionists and diet, they got exercise guys and they got a stretch guy and they got massage guy and they got 9 million things. It is completely different than what we grew up with.
Well, like that was what really surprised me, Jeff. When I first went to Dallas, every locker had an ashtray, attached to part of your locker. And so I took over for this guy, John Fitzgerald, who was a center for a long time for the Cowboys. And Fitzy's an old Boston College Irish guy. And, he was the original member of the Bad Body Club and he wore 62, but like he chain smoked cigarettes, and so he smoked cigarettes before the game to calm himself down at halftime of the game, and, you could take as many beers as you wanted to get on the plane, when the games ended, help yourself. We all had a middle seat. We'd see how many beers we could put in the middle seat, We played cards all the way back from every game, and then we went out after the game.
Well, you could get as many beers as you wanted as long as you weren't a rookie, because the rookies had to give their beers. As I remember it, the rookies had to give their beers to the veterans.
Well, there was the original, hazing. Like I remember part of the ritual to being a rookie was in the cafeteria at lunchtime during training camp. You had to get up. They'd call your name out, and you'd have to get up in a chair in front of the whole team, put your hand over your heart, tell them your name, where you're from, and then sing a song. And so, I was so nervous. It was the most nervous I've ever been in my life. And Hank Williams Jr. had a song back then, All in Alabama, and I liked the song. And I was practicing every day in the shower, and I got up there. They started asking for Baldy, man, and they actually had a nickname for me back then. But so they're calling my name one day. I'm like, I got to do it, man. I got to get up. And I get up there and I close my eyes. I start singing, and I didn't know what hit me at first. I wasn't sure what it was, but they just started throwing these Jello balls at me, from every direction. They just booed me right off the stage, man. That's how they treated it.
Oh man! Hey, we're halfway through the 2021 season, and I'm gonna give you a title, my man. I'm gonna title you the director of footballology. All right.
Okay.
And I want you to give me at the halfway point who you like who you give A grades to and who you give not passing grades to in the National Football League at the halfway point.
Well, I think you have to. I mean, the Rams right now, the Rams and Packers are, to me, at the top of the list. Now, I'm not ruling out the Arizona Cardinals, but I think they lost a lot when they lost J.J. Watt, and we'll see if Kyler Murray can stay healthy through the whole thing. But, the Rams are built on a star system, Jeff. It starts with the coach, Sean McVay. I mean, at his age, he's not 40 yet. He's already got 2 other head coaches in the league right now that are coaching. He's already got a tree. And they're a star-built team. Like when Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and, Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp and now Von Miller get on a field and they play to their ability, they're not, I don't know if they're going to get beat. What Green Bay is doing with Aaron Rodgers, now we'll see. We're talking before COVID here, and he's not going to start this week, not going to play this week, make the trip to Kansas City. We'll see what happens without him. But, I mean, I've seen him play basically 4 rookies in the offensive line. I've seen him play without their wide receivers. I've seen him play without their starting outside linebackers. I've seen him play without their starting corners, and they just find different ways to win. So they're a very resilient team. They've lost their head coach right now. They've lost a total of 7 games, or 32-7, with Matt LaFleur as a head coach over the last 3 years. I mean, they're a very resilient team. So the best teams are in the NFC, and you can't. I just saw the Tampa Bay Bucks. Now they got beat by New Orleans on Sunday in New Orleans, but they're going to be a tough out when you get to the playoffs, just because of the quarterback, how they take care of the football, and how they play the game, which is an attacking style of offense and defense.
You watch the Saints, though. This is one that's really interesting to me, because Saints defense, which you never talk about the Saints defense when you talk about the Saints, because Sean Payton cast such a long shadow over that franchise and the offense and Drew Brees and, Thomas and all of that for all those years. But I'm going to tell you, Baldy, you look at that defense. That defense is a nasty bunch, and it'll keep them in games. The question is now with Jameis out, what are they going to do at quarterback? Is it going to be Simeon, or, what's the direction going forward offensively?
Well, I was there in training camp, and it was a real quarterback competition between Taysom and Jameis. And, people would say, well, if Taysom gets the job, then you lose him as a gadget player and all the roles. And Sean's like, I've got somebody else to do that role. I need a guy that's going to, engineer my offense and get us into the end zone. So my guess is, Taysom got a lot of first-team reps all summer long. Sean Payton loves him. I think Trevor Siemian could be the backup guy if anything happens to Taysom. He's come back from concussion protocol. They'll use Ty Montgomery, Deontay Harris. They'll lose a lot of other players they have in that kind of role. They picked up Mark Ingram to take a little bit of the load off Kamara. But you're right about the defense. The defense is, they've got some guys there that just, man, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Malcolm Jenkins and Marshawn Lattimore, like those guys, and Demario Davis, and Cam Jordan. I mean, they're just a resilient, tough group that feels like the window is still open for them to go win. And so you're right. I mean, the defense will continue to carry them as they kind of evolve in whatever the offense is going to be.
The other team that I think is kind of the dark horse, and Baldy, I've always been for the last 20 some years, right? I've watched the hype, I've heard the hype, we're talking about a team that you're very proud of, the Cowboys. But I'm starting to buy into the Cowboys because I think Dan Quinn has done an amazing job. Parsons is an incredible upgrade. He's an unbelievable chess piece for Dan Quinn. Diggs is having a phenomenal year at corner, and that offense is just scary with the weapons that they have.
I'm with you, Jeff. I'm totally with you. I didn't want to leave them out. You got to lump a whole group of teams together, but Dallas has been unbelievable. What they did to go up to Minnesota and win that game, without their starting quarterback. I mean, Dallas hadn't been able to do that in a long time. Play a kid that never played before in Cooper Rush and go up there and beat Minnesota, a really good football team and pretty well coached, and to beat them. Their offense has no weaknesses. Kellen Moore is going to be a head coach. They got a different game plan every week. They don't have a weakness on the offense. And then you're right, Micah Parsons, I call him the Hungry Lion. He went to Penn State. He's a phenomenal player. But Osa Odigizua, the third round pick from UCLA, they play fast, really fast. And the safeties that Dan Quinn brought from Atlanta have been really good. Keanu Neal and KZ, like they've really kind of solidified the back end. And they're not beating themselves, and they're not getting thrashed in the run game like they were the year before. They're a legitimate team, real legitimate team. And just question right now, when they get to the postseason, because they will get there, they'll probably win the East, probably run away with the East. That's just a different season for them. They haven't been there the last 2 years, and they've only won one playoff game under Dak. So that's what it's up for them right now.
What do you make of the North with, where you look at Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, right? And going into the year, the hype train sold Cleveland so hard. And I still believe Cleveland's a good football team. They've been decimated with injuries. But Baltimore, just as I think they're starting to play to their DNA, they lay an egg a couple weeks ago. Now they got to come off the bye week, how they're going to come off the bye week. Cincinnati's been an unbelievable surprise to me. I still don't buy it, but time will tell. How do you make that division, Baldy?
Well, I think that, they're all going to eat each other. I mean, already Cincinnati's gone into Pittsburgh and won. Cincinnati's going into Baltimore and won. Pittsburgh just went to Cleveland and won. If you look at Pittsburgh's defense right now, Jeff, they don't have a weakness. Nobody can block T.J. Watt. Cam Hayward is as good as they come. Mink on the back end is outstanding. Like, they've got their defense right now is going to keep the score under 20 just about every week. Now, can the offense produce enough? And that's where Baltimore can. They can produce enough, but defensively, they haven't played great. They've given up a lot of passing yards. They give up 41 points to Cincinnati. I want to like Baltimore more than anybody, but I'm just not sold. Like, I love Wink, but they do gamble a lot. They do blitz a lot in order to get pressure. That's who he is. That's fine. And Lamar, teams don't have an answer for Lamar. Cincinnati, I did their preseason games, Jeff. I knew they were going to be better. When they lost to the Jets, it kind of soured me a little bit. But their offense is going to score points. Like, they play Cleveland this week. They're going to put up 24, 30 points every week. They're just that good right now. And the quarterback has thrown, 20 touchdown passes here in the first half of the season. So, the rookie wide receiver, Jamar Chase, is just phenomenal. So, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to week 17 in those games, Jeff. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and probably tiebreakers is going to decide the winner of that division.
Baldy, you and I have a deep appreciation for Polynesian culture and Hawaii and all of that. And I'm always going to shill for the Polynesian kids and the Hawaiian kids. And
yeah,
I just really, in a lot of ways, really my gut aches for Tua and what he's gone through this year with all of the, I mean, the guy's only played how many games in the National Football League, and this unrealistic expectation of him, and then the Deshaun Watson rumors and all of it that he's had to deal with, and a 1-7 start. And what's your take on the Dolphins, Baldy?
Well, their plan, Jeff, was to make all these trades. Laramie Tunsil, make these trades, acquire all these assets, and rebuild the team. With Tua, who was the 5th pick in the draft, as their quarterback going forward. But they've drafted 4 offensive linemen real high, and they can't put an offensive line together to save their life. I mean, they got Austin Jackson was a 1st-round pick at tackle. They have him at guard now, and he's not a good guard. Liam Eichenberg is their high draft pick out of Notre Dame. He's playing left tackle. He's not playing well. They're not playing well. They don't have a stud running back at all. They've got one receiver, Jalen Waddle, but they can't get the ball down the field because they can't hold the ball long enough to get the ball down the field. And the defense, who played well, was a top 10 defense last year, can't stop anybody right now. And so it all falls on Tua's shoulders. But when you watch Tua play, like, he does what he's supposed to do. He goes through his progressions. He's fundamentally sound, but he's not getting any help around him whatsoever. And so I don't like when I watch their offensive line perform, Jeff, you could put Aaron Rodgers back there. Aaron Rodgers ain't winning the MVP of the league behind that offensive line with that group right now. So he's part of the problem, but he's not the problem.
All right, now this speaks to something I really wanted to talk to you about, because obviously you put your hand in the dirt in the NFL for a number of years, right? Historically, offensive linemen are the hardest group of players to find. I mean, there just aren't walking this planet that many guys with the kind of feet and disposition and length and all of the balance and all the things it takes. But why historically does a team like the Dolphins struggle so much? Because this isn't a this isn't a Greer problem. This isn't a Flores problem. This is a historic problem since the days of Bob Kuechenberg in Miami.
I can't speak, you're going back to Don Shula, obviously, and everything in between. And even when Dan Marino was there, they couldn't run the ball. Now before that, they had Jim Kick and Zonka and Mercury Morris, and, it was a little bit different era. But, even with Marino, like they could never win a Super Bowl.
Because they couldn't run it. The two one-dimensional.
And so Richmond Webb was their left tackle back then. He was strictly a pass blocker. He couldn't move the line of scrimmage. But you're right. I mean, some teams, they can never find the quarterback. You look at the Detroit Lions or Chicago Bears, they can't find quarterbacks. And some teams just have that flaw, and it just travels with them. But some teams just know how to build an offensive line, Jeff. They just don't know how to build. They've gone through a bunch of different offensive line coaches. Even under Brian Flores, they've gone through a bunch of them. Like they just can't find that guy that could do it. And I say it all the time, outside of your head coach, your most important coach is your offensive line coach. And so, you look at Bill Callahan, who's in Cleveland. They got an excellent offensive line. Everywhere he goes, he builds a great offensive line. Like there's not enough good architects that know how to do that and develop players and develop a camaraderie, a chemistry, and put it all together. There's just not enough of those guys out there.
Well, I thought when Tony Sperano was there, I thought he was going to be that guy, because I agree with you 100%. But then they made a bad mistake and made him the head coach. And then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some guys are just better in certain roles, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, there have been some legendary offensive line coaches, Jim McNally and all these guys in the National Football League, that never became head coaches. But, man, you could not replace their value on your staff.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Green Bay right now, and you look at Stenovich there, like he's a young guy. Like I saw him play with 4 rookies for the most part, and a guy that, free agent, never played left tackle in his life, and they lost their starting left tackle, and then they lost the backup left tackle, and Aaron Rodgers went up to him one day. He's like, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "I'm going to play this kid, Josh Nijman, Virginia Tech free agent, never played before, never been in a game in his life." And Aaron Rodgers said, "You sure about that, coach?" He goes, "He'll be fine." And sure enough, the kid went out there and he was fine, and Aaron Rodgers, he was fine, and you got John Runyon's kid in there at left guard, and he was a rookie, and, rookie center. I mean, but this guy Stenovich, if Miami was smart, they'd go hire him, be the offense coordinator or whatever, But you're right. Like there's just not enough of these guys.
Baldy, it's been 45 minutes of absolute joy, man. It is so much fun to reconnect again. I look forward to seeing you in January and February as we get to the business end of the season at Sky Sports NFL. And man, you know that the door is always open in Hawaii. We're 83 steps from the ocean, and you are welcome anytime, my brother.
I'll be over there after the season, Jeff. I'm coming over. Miano will be picking me up. We'll stop by your, I think you're the only one that lives on your island there, Jeff.
Well, that's like your own personal island. But get Richie over. It'd be fun to take you guys around the big
island. I'll get Richie over there. We'll bring the sticks and surfboards, and we'll go have some fun, Jeff.
All right. Again, mahalo, my brother. So much aloha for you. Thank you very much. Yep. Ryan Baldinger, all-time classics. Thank you. Well, that's it for today's show. Again, it was so much fun to have an opportunity to sit down and take 45 minutes with one of the really good guys in NFL football and an alumnus of the National Football League and a great storyteller and a fun guy to be around. And if you ever get a chance to have some time with Baldy, it's a life changer. Speaking of life changers, what are we going to do with you? We got to get you a blood transfusion or something, my man.
Yeah, I've been sick this week, Jeff. There's some things. I know that you've got a game tonight at 11 o'clock UK Ireland time, BT Sport 3. Good luck in that, obviously. There are some things that we can quickly talk about if you want.
Sure.
If you want.
Odell? Well, let's talk about this because big news, not big, B-I-G big news today in Ireland about the University of Notre Dame is coming back to play another game in Ireland at Croke Park. A huge Notre Dame. This is the thing that's amazing. Notre Dame is giving up a home game to come to Ireland. That's incredible.
It's at the Aviva, which is it was the old Lansdowne Road. I actually think it's a better stadium. It's a rugby stadium, so it's designed for that sort of sport. But yeah, it's incredible. For anybody that isn't aware, the last NFL game that we played in Ireland was a preseason game between the Steelers and the Bears in 1997. There's been a few games since in the college game, but after COVID, this is huge. So we've got Nebraska Northwestern next August, but this game that you're talking about kicks off the college season. It's on NBC across the states. I'm presuming hopefully Sky might get over, who knows, because of the Sky Sports NFL and Notre Dame agreement. Watch this space. But just great news. And I think for fans in Ireland and the UK and Europe, the only way is up. And if anybody wants to go to the games next August, keep a very, very close eye on Twitter. There may be a pre-sale next Wednesday to Friday for the Northwestern Nebraska game, which should be a good game, Jeff, as well.
Yeah, that'll be a great game too. And again, all of you Irish fans, watch Irish NFL because they will keep you updated on everything football related. I understand we got some Aaron Rodgers news that's just breaking.
So we're recording this show at 5 o'clock. Thanks to everybody for your comments. We'll try and read them out in 2 seconds. Rodgers, I'm not really sure where to start here. I'll just very quickly say it. Aaron Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show. Obviously, Jeff, has been one of those weeks. It's been crazy in the NFL. Rodgers is only one of the storylines. He said he isn't an anti-vax. He's not a flat earther. He has an allergy to an ingredient that's in the mRNA vaccines. He found himself a long-term immunization protocol to protect himself, and he's very proud of the research. Basically, Jeff, he's went on a 35-minute conversation / rant on Pat McAfee. I'm not saying this broke the internet, but it's a lot of people are talking about it. And I think for one of us, for us watching it, Jeff, even as fans on Sunday, I would have loved to have seen Rodgers going up against Mahomes, but the protocols are there, I guess, as well. So.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. And, it's unfortunate for everybody. It's unfortunate for us as fans. It's unfortunate for the National Football League from a revenue standpoint. And it's unfortunate for those two football teams. So, this is just the COVID reality we're faced with. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Right, very quickly, because I know you've got a game, Jeff, very quickly. Fred Flunk, yes or no? Are the Cowboys a real deal?
I'm going to, and you know what? I've been slow to buy on this one. And I mean, slow to buy, because I've watched 20 years of hype or 25 years of hype and delivering nothing. but I truly believe that the Cowboys are for real and a Super Bowl contender.
Ooh, we've got the same question. Thanks very much from Julian Smith in the UK as well, saying about the Cowboys. Stephen is saying, well, he said, I'll give one of the questions. He says to you, Jeff, would you ever? He's from Redditch in England. Would you ever consider being an NFL coach?
Yeah, I've considered it on a couple occasions. I interviewed for a job with the Raiders. The fact of the matter is there are a couple things working against me right now. My age, number one. Number two, that I love to do this. And you can't do this if you're coaching in the National Football League. You're not going to be able to work at Sky. You're not going to be able to, have this kind of interaction with the fans. And this to me is what the game's all about. It's not about, the number of zeros behind your paycheck.
Just finally, we've got a question from, look, the guy is called No One Likes the UK, but he's from London. I'm literally, I swear to God, it's on here. Look, thanks for your question. Will the Titans melt away now that King Henry has been dethroned by a foot injury? 6-2, Jeff. Adrian Peterson comes into Tennessee.
I think there's a couple things about the Titans that I like. Number one, I like Mike Vrabel. Number two, I like the resiliency of the football team. They lost that game early to the Jets, and that could have really devastated them as a football team. They bounced back. Obviously, King Henry's going to be a huge loss, but I still believe Adrian Peterson is a little bit like Tom Brady in that you can't measure them by anybody else's chronological clock. You gotta measure them independent. Now, can he be King Henry? I don't think so, but I think he can be that feature back. And I have enough faith in Vrabel and his coaching staff that they've got a lead now in that division. Now, Indianapolis did a great job of winning last night, but they've got a lead in that division, and now they have to just hang on to that lead until hopefully Henry can give it back for the playoffs.
I'm taking the Titans on Sunday night. Final word, Jeff. Where's Odell going? Give me one team name.
Pardon me?
Where's OBJ going? Released this morning from the.
You know what? That's really an interesting one because there's a lot of factors in that thing. You would say if you go by the waiver priority, Detroit's got to pluck them because they're in desperate need of a wide receiver. Now, is he willing to go play in Detroit? That's another question. But think about this: if you take him, right, then he becomes, quote, your property. And you could take him and deal him if you wanted to for more draft picks or whatever. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Just remember this, buyer beware, because when you take the talent, you get the baggage. And that's going to be a concern to a number of teams.
4 words: Antonio Brown, Tampa Bay. Look, I don't know. Let's see.
Well, you know what? Tampa Bay would be another spot. You look at the Saints, you look at Tampa Bay, you look at the Rams. Those are all
Raiders.
Places where he could go and make a huge impact on contending teams. So, he's going to have a place to play. There's no question about it. My hope for OBJ is that you just go play, right? And leave all the other stuff alone and go be that great player that you've shown you can be.
Yes, sir. 11 o'clock tonight, Jeff. You're playing BC at Tim Hortons Field. Good luck tonight. Obviously,
tonight.
Last game of the season.
Hey, we win, we're in. This is one to try and get into the playoffs. So this is a big one for us. And again, we'll be counting on Ticat Nation around the world to rise up and give us the boost we need.
I'll try and get a picture of you from the touchline from the TV. I appreciate it, Jeff.
All right. Take care, my man. Take care of your body and get healthy.
I know. Folks, thanks very much. See you next week, Jeff, yeah?
Aloha.